Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode on Rewired Radio. I'm your host, DJ Drew.
And I'm Coral, your favorite event planner.
And today's guest is one of the finest wedding planners in San Diego. She's the creme de la creme, and she's here to show us how to make weddings fun, safe, and how to do it like a champion. So break out the dollars, pesos, and yen, and let's welcome Alana Godoy.
I feel like that every time I walk into a room.
What is up, Alana?
Hey.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Can you please introduce yourself to our audience out there?
Of course. So my name is Alana Godoy. I work with Reva Events. We do weddings and other events as well. And I'm just so excited to be here today.
We're excited to have you, Alana.
We are so excited to have you.
And we thought we would start off the show the proper way. And we heard you love rosé. So I think we should have a glass. Coral, what do you say? Oh,
I'm so sorry, guys. I was just so excited to have another wedding planner on the show. I couldn't wait. But I guess I'll share with you.
it looks like Coral got started without us. Well,
Always.
You know what they say, a rosé a day keeps the doctor away
Uh-huh. Baba.
all day. So let's have a glass.
Have a glass. Rosé, a doctor away.
Doctor.
Woohoo.
Away. All right.
Ooh, that's good.
Oh yeah, this is amazing.
Well, Alana, how you been? What have you been up to these days?
I've been good. Busy. We have so many weddings coming up. And then just, life. Yeah.
Life is good?
Life is great. Next
That's
week's my
good.
birthday, actually. So I'm like doing extra planning.
Oh, well, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Do you
What
have
do you
anything
plan?
planned? You probably do because you're a wedding planner. You probably have
yeah.
something planned.
What do
Tell
you
us
got
about
planned?
it.
So I have my, my relaxed day on my actual birthday dinner.
Of course.
But then my actual birthday party, I'm doing DC versus Marvel dress up costume party.
What are you going to be?
Oh, it's a secret. But I will let you know that I have 2 costume changes.
Are you going to be DC or Marvel?
DC. You have to do DC if you're like a girl, They have better
Yeah.
like characters. But movie-wise, of course, Marvel's like on top right now,
Definitely.
But
well,
outfit-wise,
they
it's
do
DC.
have the Batman movie coming out like in 2 weeks.
Right.
I have a feeling you're going to be Batman.
No.
No?
No.
Batwoman? Is that a thing?
Catwoman?
No. Okay, Zatanna. Nobody
I don't even know
knows
who that
Zatanna.
is.
Atana.
Zatanna.
Zatanna.
She's like the magician's daughter. She's like super amazing, powerful.
Ooh, well, I can't
And
wait
then
to see that.
And then I'm also gonna be a bad guy, so I'll keep the bad guy secret. You guys didn't even know who Zatanna was, so you don't know the bad guy.
I'll be honest.
to know.
I'm more of a Marvel fan, to be honest, but I love it. I love
you.
it. I'm glad. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I can't wait to see pictures and happy early birthday.
Yes,
You're here with us
come.
to celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am here to
Let's
celebrate.
get the party started. So, Lana, tell us, you are a wedding planner. What inspired you to become a wedding planner? And what do you think is the most important skill to becoming a wedding planner?
Right. So I never actually thought I would be a wedding planner, in all honesty. When the opportunity came about, it was because I'm actually very privileged to know such a successful group of women and business owners. But I thought I was going to be going more into the field of anthropology. I do have background in corporate events. It was like my high school thing, and then it went into my 20s. I'm still 20. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm 24 next week. But anyway, so when the opportunity came about, though, I was like, wow. I was reminded that when I was little, I wanted to be a wedding planner. But I was totally thrown off course because people were like, oh, that's like one of the most stressful jobs you could ever do. You don't want to be a wedding planner. And I was like, okay, I don't.
Yeah.
But now that I am, I think it's ironic because I love it. I find like I'm less stressed planning other people's events and
Yeah.
weddings. And so it's really cool. I think one of the biggest skill sets that you have to be able to manage your time really well. And also being detail oriented, it makes all the difference in the world.
Totally. I
feel
agree.
like that's the most important skill you probably need is being detail oriented.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're not, you're just going to cause unnecessary stress.
A train wreck.
Then it's all about stress, right?
We don't need that. Yeah.
I'm glad you decided not to listen to people's opinion and took the high road for yourself and took your own, path.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Well, so the world has totally changed, as we all know, within the last 2 years.
Right.
The whole world has been affected, especially our industry.
Right.
And just the past 2 years has been tough, but people still need to get married and people still want to get married. So like in your experience and just throughout these past 2 years, what have you noticed that has changed with wedding planning or event planning in general?
Yeah, so I mean, you have the obvious that's changed with COVID, right? You
Yeah.
have the mask regulations, you need the vaccination cards, but I think the biggest thing that's changed across, regardless of like guest count, guest size, is you have to talk about logistics every single time. You have to figure out what regulations are needed for which venues. You need to figure out the client's feelings about COVID as well as their guests. So yeah, that conversation has definitely changed across the board.
Yeah.
And what I've been seeing more of is micro weddings, which I think is really cool. You know, people,
I like that.
I feel like it's usually like 20 people or less, but it's more intimate. And so I think it's a special experience. It's more immersive, I guess, for the guests. And
Totally.
the clients get to spend more time with the people that matter the most to them.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
And I
Yeah.
feel like beforehand that wasn't even a thing and people didn't even think about having a
Right.
small wedding like that. But now it's better. One, it's not going to cost as much because you're not
Exactly.
spending $100 million on all these meals. You know, you have your family and close friends there to celebrate you getting married. And I love that idea.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's kind of become more popular. And still right now, even 2 years later, I
Right.
still get clients myself that have, 20 guest count. Like, sweet, let's
Yeah,
do it.
I love it. We only need like one planner or one coordinator, you know? So
Yeah.
it works perfectly.
And like I know a lot of couples that have planned their wedding not just once, not just twice, but 3 times. You know,
Definitely.
and plans have probably definitely changed and affected their original plan, whether that's date change or venue change or even, you know, the guest count like we said. Do you have any like I don't know, like good methods to ensure that that happens right the next time? If there's a fourth
Right,
time,
I
fifth
know.
time.
So
you know?
I actually just had a wedding where they had to reschedule for the 6th time.
Sixth time.
Yeah.
Is that
Wow.
a joke or no?
No, I swear on everything. It was,
Wow.
you know, they had a guest count and they had to keep downsizing. But when you downsize your
Yeah.
guest count, you also have to take into consideration what the venue can accommodate. So
True.
if you're spending so much money on a large venue for X amount of guests and then you downsize, you have to move your venue.
Yeah.
So that was kind of their situation in, okay, we can't do this. We need to reschedule again. We need a new date because this venue can't accommodate this one. So it can definitely be like a spiral, you know?
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing to do, especially in the time of COVID, is taking the time to really prioritize what's most important to the client. Do you want to get married right now? And if so, are you willing to be flexible? Do you want to have 150 guests and that's something you're not willing to change? Or are you okay with having 20 to 50 guests and a
Yeah.
smaller venue?
Yeah.
So once you find that, it's important, you know, stick with that
Yes.
and be okay with being flexible, be okay with changing, and also your attitude. I think that's important
Yeah.
across every wedding.
Well, and you have to step back and realize you're there to get married to the love of your life. Like
Right.
that's the main thing. You know,
Exactly.
like all the little details they'll come together and you'll have a great time no matter what you do. Did the people that changed their wedding and everything, did they finally get married?
6
They
times.
finally got married, but they were also pregnant.
Well, I mean.
so because they postponed for so long, they were like, we're having the honeymoon anyways.
It's not gonna
And
stop your life, you
Yeah,
know?
it's not going to stop anything else.
Wow.
So it
Oh,
was
well.
really cool, though. Very special. They enjoyed it. They loved
Good.
it. Yeah.
Yay.
I'm
It
glad
was
to hear
worth
that.
it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. 6 times is a lot.
Yes.
You know,
I know.
I see a lot of couples, a lot of brides, especially on social media. And for anyone out there who might be listening and they're on the fence about canceling their wedding, you know, they could be very frustrated for any number of reasons. Do you think there's a better alternative than canceling your wedding?
Right. You know, frustrations happen, again, COVID or not COVID. But I think the alternative to canceling, again, making sure you know your priorities and being okay with downsizing, being okay with maybe if you want to get married and you're just so anxious, you're like, oh my God, I need to be married to this person I'm in love with. I just want to say I do. Be open to maybe doing an elopement and then doing a bigger party later on when you know there's less regulations. But don't cancel, you know? If that's something that you want, just do it.
Totally.
Just
If anything,
do
like
it.
postpone it. If
Yeah.
anything, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which
you don't
a
have
lot
to
of people
cancel
are
it.
doing, you know, they're not canceling, they're just pushing it out. If it has to take 6 times, it has to take 6
Or
times.
7
It is what
times,
it
7
is.
times a
7
charm,
times,
you
yeah.
know? And like you said too, you know, there's couples out there who want to plan a big wedding and you talk about downsizing, but I think a lot of people want to have a big wedding. That's what they envision. They want to have like 100+ person wedding. But would you say it's probably better to downsize, have like say 50 guests instead of 100 and just make it more intimate, like you said, and just kind of give more time to the people that are there for you, your loved ones, your friends, not to mention you'd be saving a whole lot of money too, downsizing.
Yeah, you would save a lot of money downsizing. But I don't know, not necessarily. I have done a few weddings during COVID, regardless, despite the COVID regulations, that have had upward of 250 guests. So it's not impossible to do. It's just picking and choosing your battles, which venue works for you. But if budget is a concern, then most definitely I would look into downsizing, doing a smaller guest count. And, if you have wiggle room within that budget, you can make it such a more special experience for those few guests that are there.
So if you did have a little extra, wiggle room in your budget, what can you do to make it a little extra special?
Some
Add that little
bougie.
sizzle,
A little
somewhat.
bit of bouginess,
Yeah, make it a little extra bougie.
Yeah, a little extra bougie.
Have some rosé.
Have some
Love
rosé.
it.
You can pass out little mini bottles of Moet to your guests, or
Yeah.
for your bridal party, if you're still having a lot of bridesmaids, groomsmen, you can get them something really nice and personalized.
Yeah.
Do nice things for
I love that.
the parents,
Yeah. Especially about
Yeah.
getting the little
Cheers to
expensive
that.
bottle.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love
Instead of
it.
getting the cheap stuff, spend a little bit more on the lesser guest count and make it extra special for them.
Yeah. You can do a photo booth. You can do games. You can get those big lawn games. Oh, we see those all the time at micro weddings now,
Yeah.
and it's a crowd favorite
Well,
for sure.
yeah, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you either dance or you drink. No, you got to have something else.
Yeah.
Or both, you can dance and drink. I feel like they go hand
And
in
play
hand.
games.
And drink,
play games.
And play games. Yes.
And if you don't want to use this money towards your wedding, you can save it for the honeymoon.
Totally.
And
Totally.
honeymoons aren't cheap, especially if you want to go to these amazing places, but it's your chance to go to these amazing places. So use that money for that.
Exactly.
Get first class. I don't know.
Couldn't agree more.
Whatever you want to do.
100%.
Yeah. So when planning a wedding, I guess in your past experience, what are some safety measures that you recommend or that has happened to lower the chance of people getting sick or the guests getting sick,
Right.
Because that's important. It's hard.
It's super important. And this is actually a hard question I've gone back and forth with. Like you said, it's a safety precaution to limit. It doesn't necessarily
Yes.
eliminate the risk.
No.
So why it's a hard question for me to answer is because I've done so many weddings where we've done every single safety regulation and requirement, CDC guideline possible, and somebody, a guest, someone from the wedding party, the bride, the groom, they end up testing positive a week later.
Oh.
And so it's which requirements work and which ones don't. I think ultimately the best thing that you can do is set expectations with your guests. If you're a couple, your client who knows that you're okay not being as enforceful
Yeah.
with COVID requirements, then that's something you can communicate to your guests. And from there, it's their responsibility to say, okay, well, it means a lot to me, so maybe I'll sit this one out.
Yeah.
And vice versa. If it's something that the couple really wants to enforce and their guests aren't willing to do it, okay, then again, they have to sit it out.
Totally.
But at the end of the day, it's all about setting expectations, and it's your guest's moral obligation to be on the same page with you. And if not, then, maybe we'll take you out for drinks after, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a wedding that the maid of honor, she got sick 3 days before the wedding, which was unfortunate. But she knew, she was like, well, I'm not going to go. I know this is very important for me to be there and help her out, but why would I risk getting everyone
Right.
sick?
Right.
So she was like, it's a bummer, but I'm going to sit this one out.
Right.
And she got to Zoom. She got to FaceTime.
Yeah.
She was still there in spirit. She still got to see her best friend walk down the aisle. She just couldn't help her fluff her dress or, hold her
Aw.
bouquet.
That's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, but it's one of those things,
Yeah.
set expectations with your guests and your bridal party.
Right.
And, you just go from there.
And Coral, you make a good point too. You mentioned Zoom.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's so many vendors out there that can actually live stream your event.
Totally.
Zoom or otherwise. And, for anyone that can't make it, like that bridesmaid or your family or friend that can't make it, they can literally watch your entire wedding or event from the comfort of their own home
Yeah.
in a safe way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is awesome that we have that now. And
Yeah.
some people actually kind of prefer that, especially if they're older.
yeah.
They would rather sit on their couch and watch the whole wedding and then go out for dinner or drinks at a different time with
I wouldn't
just the
mind
bride
it.
and groom.
Exactly. That's actually really great. Yeah, right?
To DJ it or?
Well, no, just watching the wedding from the comfort of my own home, just being in my sweatpants, you know?
Oh, I could see you also DJing.
Yeah, I could probably do
from
that
the comfort
too.
of your own home.
Just play it on speakers.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. They have so many DJs now, like DJing events on Zoom, and it's a very strange thing. I'm still trying to get used to how anybody does that. I've never actually DJed a wedding on Zoom.
Wait, it's a real
but
thing?
It's a real thing.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
man.
had a couple. They were getting married, and they wanted this DJ who's from Philadelphia, and he couldn't make it. It was like during a time when it was really tough to travel. So they live streamed the whole thing on Zoom, and he was DJing from his house in Philadelphia.
Wow.
I mean, that's awesome, but that also kind of seems stressful.
Yeah.
Like wedding planning in general is stressful.
I think the biggest thing that you can do if you plan on live streaming anything, you have to have backup plans. You have to have a contingency plan.
Yeah.
Make sure to bring like a separate hotspot just in case.
Yeah.
Because, going through your walkthrough at a venue is one thing and like, oh, Wi-Fi works great. But then to fill it up with a room full of people or say it's at a hotel and there's so many guests, you can't count on that Wi-Fi to work all the time,
I love
Better
that
have
idea.
some big bandwidth for that.
Big bandwidth.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, and talking about stress, well, that's very stressful, but if you have backup plans, it will be easier.
Right.
Just in your experience with planning a wedding and being there for clients, what do you tell them to help reduce that stress? Because I know for me, being a bride-to-be, it's very stressful.
Yeah.
And just planning everything is very stressful. Sometimes I need a lot of rosé to help me.
Oh, rosé definitely helps.
If you have any other tips, please
Right.
tell me.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, if you're a bride or you're a couple planning a wedding, the best thing you can do is hire professional vendors. And I think also hiring a really
Drew.
good wedding planner.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and more
And
for
a
that.
good wedding planner, okay? Because when you're stressed, give that to your wedding planner. That's her job, A lot of things that brides are concerned about, or couples in general, is things that wedding planners deal with day to day, every single day. And so to have a good wedding planner be there and just reassuring you, making sure that you're not as stressed out, it's a huge thing. I know for us at Reva Event, we are obsessed with our timelines. So on the event planning side of not being so stressed out with the wedding, just make sure you're organized, but also flexible. Our timeline, we have some brides who want to call us every single day and ask us questions, and that's completely fine.
Yeah.
We have other brides who are okay with being laid back and they don't want to talk about it until the week before their wedding.
Yeah.
Again, totally fine.
Yeah.
But for us, every call that we have with the bride, with the vendors, with the venue, it all goes into our timeline. We make notes. We make sure we understand every single thing that could possibly happen. And the week before the wedding, we call the bride, we call the couple, we call the groom, and I feel like it changes the game. Like they feel confident, not only that they know what's going on, but that we know what's going on.
Totally.
And arguably, that's kind of like the most important part, right? About having a wedding planner.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy the moment. You don't want to have to worry about your time.
Totally.
So if you're confident that your planner knows what's going on, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%, not just because I'm a wedding planner as well, but it helps the stress level go
It
from
totally
here
does.
to here.
Right.
Just
totally
having
does.
really good vendors, look at reviews, just know who's going to be there, trust everyone that's going to be there.
Right.
That way you can just enjoy yourself and just, it's you and your to be husband, and you're going to enjoy yourself when you have an awesome team of vendors.
Right.
Yeah, and speaking from an outside perspective, since I'm not a wedding planner, but I have noticed that a lot of brides are much less stressed when they do have a wedding planner.
Yeah.
They're so much less stressed, and it makes my job less stressful, to be honest, because I'm like, okay, things are going to be organized. It's going to flow on the timeline rather than having somebody just plan their whole wedding themselves.
Right.
When you have a planner there, it just makes things run so much smoother.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree to that.
And you also mentioned venues, and I've noticed lately there has been quite a bit of restrictions in some places, especially places like LA County. They have more restrictions than certain counties. Would you say it's better to go with a private estate or maybe like an Airbnb and perhaps save some money, and also maybe a little bit less restrictions as well that some venues might have?
Right. Oh, again,
So
really?
you're saying like instead of having like this venue, you would go to an Airbnb and that's where you would get married.
Or like a private estate, which kind of seems to be a direction that a lot of weddings are going into now, especially since COVID started. A lot of wedding venues were shut down, and they have so many protocols, and As a DJ, sometimes it's frustrating because the venue will come up to me and say, you have to make this announcement and tell the guests to keep their masks on. And it can be frustrating, because people are there to have a good time. They're not there to worry about COVID so much, even though it might be in the back of their head, but they have more restrictions.
Right.
When you go with a private estate, for example, or maybe you rent an Airbnb, like a mansion or something, you kind of have a little more freedom.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But that's another question where I have to say it's not necessarily true. Again, it's dependent on the priorities of the couple.
Yeah.
So say like for a hotel venue, they're super like COVID strict, right? But the benefit of going with that venue is that they have staff, they have chairs, they have tables. So if you want to do a private estate, I think the biggest benefit of a private estate is that there's less time regulations. So if you're a couple and you're a party that likes to party, then of course, by all means, like private estate, I think is the way to go, Airbnb. But you have to think that you might be spending more money doing that, buying the rentals, hiring staff, getting the dance floor, the stage rentals. And so it's like you have to pick and choose your poison, right?
Right.
But if that's something you want to do, if you want to party all night long and you're okay with building from the ground up, then by all means, private estate is the way to go. But if you don't want to take that extra time to plan, find extra vendors, pay more money, then, maybe it's okay to say, like, let me check off a few more regulation boxes.
Gotcha. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You can go with a wedding venue and kind of have things in place, your rentals, your dance floor, the bar, or you go with a private estate and you kind of have to pick everything and do it, yourself, or have somebody like you kind of pick all the vendors.
Yeah. If you have a planner, then no worries.
Yeah. Another good reason to have a planner.
Yeah.
Great
And
reason.
it's hard too because sometimes these hotels, these vendors have been there before and they know kind of the top and bottom and ins and outs when it comes to this. If it's a brand new place, it might be a little bit more stressful for the vendors if they didn't do a walkthrough before with the clients or things like that. So it's hard, but like you said, it's dependent on the client and what they want to do and what their priorities are. Yeah. And I feel like if you're having a smaller wedding and you want to get really drunk off of rosé, then private estate.
On that
Your
cue.
vendor on that, you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. But yeah, so I totally feel you on that answer because it's hard. Like just putting it in my perspective of being a bride, it's like, what would I want to do? Yeah. Because there's pros and cons of both of those. And just having the vendors there and just having them know things. And it's just hard too, like with everything going on. Just I know personal experience, there's sometimes vendors do get sick.
Yeah.
And it's last minute,
Drink to that.
I know. And just from experience, a vendor got sick the week of the wedding, and it was a photographer. And we know how important photographers are.
Yeah.
So obviously, if they're not feeling good, they can't work the wedding. So they called out like 4 days before the wedding. So then we have me being super stressed, trying not to stress out the bride and groom, saying, hey, we need a new photographer, so finding one, stressing out about that, kind of scrambling to make sure that their wedding is perfect 4 days from now. Do you have any like tips or tricks on, brides that are planning a wedding to kind of reduce the stress if this were to happen to them?
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to hire professional vendors and a wedding planner. But
it all ties in.
Yeah, it all ties in. The reason being is that if you have a professional vendor, more times than not, if they have to call out, they will recommend another professional to step in.
Yes.
But sometimes they recommend a professional and that professional is not available.
Yeah.
So then that's when you have your wedding planner. Your wedding planner, one, should have like preferred vendors and contacts already. And so you have that added benefit of a planner.
Yeah.
But for us on our side, this, again, we don't show this to the bride and groom or,
No.
we don't show this to the clients at all.
You're only hearing it here on the radio show.
This is it. We'll be at our office making calls, calling 12, 20, sometimes 30 vendors. And if it's 2 days before, a week before, sometimes you'll only get one that answers and they're like, oh yeah, no, we're available. We got you.
Whew. But that's rare, right?
It is. It can be rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good thing also about as a planner, having preferred vendors, they want to work with you. And so if they are not busy that weekend, they'll be like, oh yeah, and you know what? We'll match their price. We'll do this for you, because you've built that rapport with them. But I think one of the best things about being a planner, in my personal opinion, sometimes things go wrong the day of the wedding. Sometimes a vendor doesn't show up. We've had it where the officiant was 2 hours late, and we've had to step in and literally be the
my
officiant to a wedding.
gosh.
It happens, you know.
I actually, just to step in here real quick, I had a wedding last year where the officiant showed up literally 5 minutes before the ceremony was set to begin. And I asked him, I was ready to mic him up and do a sound check. And I'm like, where were you, man? Like the ceremony's about to begin any second now. And I went to the wrong venue. I thought it was right down the street.
Oh no.
And I'm just like, dude, you got to get it together, man.
We need a separate show of do's and don'ts of officiants because I've had my stories too. Like someone just like after they were done, they were there on time, which is great. But after, they were a part of the whole cocktail hour, eating all the snacks, drinking all the drinks. And I was like, you are not a guest. Please leave. And we had one server that was like, this plate is for the bride. Please do not take this. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh my gosh.
You know what? On that note too, I actually recently got my ordained license. Since I already do like,
my gosh.
you know, the ceremony anyways. After I experienced that, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get this ordained license. It's easier than I thought.
Yeah.
It's easier than I
just
thought.
got mine too.
You did?
Yeah.
Dude, I got
I'm
it for...
missing out.
You should get one too, Coral, just in case. I literally got it for one reason. Not because I want to officiate weddings, more so because if you need to step in and save the day, like
You can
if an
do
officiant
that.
gets sick or something, or he doesn't show up, he goes to the wrong place, at least you can step in and marry the couple.
Yes.
You know, you literally save the day.
Yeah.
Because they need somebody to marry them. So I got it for that purpose
Oh, I love
alone,
that.
just in case.
Right.
So
you know?
can do that. You can do that. I need to do that.
So I can legally marry you, Coral.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell John.
Me too.
We'll have two.
We'll have to.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
I'll let you guys have the appetizers at cocktail hour though.
Duo officiating.
Perfect. It would be amazing.
Like your own company.
Totally
you
do
know?
it.
Yeah.
We could totally
You
do
come
it.
after a whole bottle of rosé.
Alana and Drew.
Yeah, we got it.
I love it.
That's like a huge thing, I feel like, as a planner to just be as prepared as possible. Like, I've had to step in, be a cake decorator, florist, and now an officiant. So I had to officiate a wedding without having my license. So I'm just gonna, nobody knows that, okay?
They can look you up.
Keep
It'll
this on
be
the down low.
We
You didn't hear it
had
here.
to find like an official officiant after the fact, you know.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
more just for the presentation.
But you had to
the
do it.
But you have to
You
do
had to
it,
do
you
it.
know?
Yeah.
The show must go on.
Totally.
Yeah.
So
You know, things happen.
Yeah,
Last minute
all the
things
time.
happen the day of. Do you have like an emergency kit that you bring
oh
with
my
you?
gosh, it's in my car if you want to
It's
see it.
so
I
important.
bring it everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so
But
important.
you just have obviously the basics, scissors, tape. But I have like things to like help, you know, flower arrangements if they need tape. And like I just have like all these separate things. Like sometimes they're missing like little like safety pins that you need to put the boutonnieres with. Like that helps.
Oh, my emergency kit has like a whole like brush your teeth. We have
Oh, heck yeah.
shampoo, deodorant, like personal hygiene stuff. We have a sewing kit. We have a tool kit.
Yeah.
Scissors, tape.
See what comes with hiring
yeah,
a wedding
a lot
planner.
comes
You
with
get
it,
an
okay?
ER kit.
And great hygiene.
We have
great
great hygiene. We
You're
have
about
like
to wash your
allergy
hair?
medicine. We got it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every single wedding, we end up like, you know, people leave stuff behind that they don't necessarily care about.
Right.
So like we like floral tape, like florists will
Adds
leave
up.
that behind. We put it in our emergency kit.
Yeah.
We bring like extra flats, like slippers.
Yes.
So
Just in case the bride's feet hurt after dancing.
it's
You're like,
important.
I got you.
now I like rely on my emergency kit so much. I want to bring it with me whenever I travel anywhere.
Well, I
because it
always
has
have my
everything in
car.
it.
Yeah, just
Yeah, it's in my
case.
car.
Like if I need something, I have it. Not necessarily getting married, but I have the kit.
I have it.
Yeah.
Always
I,
keep an
I went on
emergency kit.
vacation and I was like, why didn't I bring my emergency kit? Because I need it.
Yeah, seriously. You like check that in. You're like, sorry, I need this whole
bag.
kit. Yeah.
You know, one cool thing, I've worked with Reva Weddings and you ladies are all amazing. I just love the way you do weddings. You make it so fun and just stress-free. And I can tell you all love to have fun and you love what you do. I can
Yeah.
just tell you,
I
Jolly,
can tell
all
that
of you.
right now too.
Yeah, they're one of the coolest companies out there in San Diego. And one unique fact about you guys is that most of you are Pacific Islanders as well. And I know that, you know, down there in San Diego, there's quite a bit of, you know, a large Pacific Islander community, but you specifically, you specialize in when it comes to cultural weddings.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, definitely. So, as you said, the majority of our team. Oh, look, there's our team. Can I play this?
There it is.
Yes, I want to see it.
Oh, can I go back? Sorry, I don't know how this works completely. So these are the weddings that we do. As you said, the majority of our team, we're Pacific Islander. So Reva, who is the owner, there's our
look
cultural
how
weddings. Yeah, we love it. She's Tahitian. We have Kaya, who's one of our lead coordinators. She's Chamorro. We have some contractors that we'll bring in to help us the day of, and there's someone. I love this.
That is gorgeous.
This is like just a few weddings that we get to do. And me, myself, I'm Native Hawaiian. So we all have kind of like grown up with each other in a sense in the Pacific Islander community, even if we don't necessarily like, we're friends growing up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we all knew of each other. We have all been around each other for forever. These are cakes I've decorated.
That's beautiful.
Guys. Sorry,
When you were
I'm just
saying
looking at
about-
the
yeah.
These are cakes that I've decorated last minute.
Sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah, because sometimes like, the florist will forget to leave it.
Yeah.
Micro weddings. Sorry, I'm gonna pause and
God.
like talk about the presentation.
Yeah,
Micro
go
weddings.
ahead.
So growing up in the Pacific Islander community, we have had the privilege of doing so many cultural festivals and events. And it's just something we love. A little fun fact about Reva and I, we have both been Miss Pacific Islanders of San Diego.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm the current Miss Pacific Islander. Reva was...
What the heck?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah, so we, that's actually where we found our love for events. Like talking to Reva and getting to know her when I first got hired onto the team.
Yeah.
That's what she told me. She was like, I'm happy that you're a part of this organization. This is where I got my footing in events. And I completely agree with her. We have like the honor really of like going to festivals, going to events and representing Pacific Islanders, but also learning. Like we've been around events for so long that we see little things that we're like, oh, that could have worked better, or we really like that.
Yeah.
And so I think it was after my first year of being within the pageant community with the Pacific Islanders in San Diego is I started working for an Asian Real Estate Association and their corporate events. And Reva, she loved it so much. She actually started her own cultural festival called Heva San Diego. So we do a lot. We do a lot on
You're
our
so
team.
community based.
Yeah, very
It's very important
community-based.
to you.
100%.
Yes, I love that.
So that background, being able to take our background in events and applying it to weddings. It's like, I don't know, weddings to me is like the best part of events. Like corporate, sometimes it's stiff. There's like different politics that go into it. But weddings are about people and love. And we get like the best part of it.
Yeah.
So when we have cultural weddings, oh my gosh, we're like excited. We're happy.
I can see how excited you are for these
Yeah.
weddings.
We're
and
like-
just the photos are so beautiful. Like,
Totally.
we can,
Look at that on the far right.
oh
It's
my
beautiful.
gosh, look at that.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Yeah, so it's like the best of both worlds. We really love cultural weddings. We learn something new every single time we do it. We also do luxury picnics.
Oh, wow.
That's becoming such a big thing
It
lately.
is. Oh my gosh.
We-
That's a whole nother topic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done baby showers. We can do micro weddings as picnics. So it's a great opportunity, to get involved with. And then where's the next one? Oh,
There we go.
so the other part about us, like I said, Reva has Heva San Diego. One of our coordinators, Jolly, she is starting her own 360 photo booth called Smile Booth.
Cute.
And then I'm also a travel agent. Yeah, so
You do it all.
You're
I
a
do
girl
it all.
who does it all.
yeah.
I
So
love
like
that.
honeymoons, destination weddings, like we are.
Can I call
available.
you? Because I
Yes.
need help.
Yes, call me.
I'm literally
Please
calling
come.
you.
Like you can come to my party next week. We'll talk more. Like we're besties
I need a
now.
costume.
Yeah.
Let's go. We need a costume.
Dude, you can plan Coral's honeymoon.
Yes.
And
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
can get me married, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
We're like
Yeah.
a one-stop shop. Okay.
That's
I know.
awesome.
That's what you need to be, though. Oh my god.
That's awesome. I love that. You're more than just a planner. Like
Yeah.
you're doing traveling, now your company's doing photo booths. I love that. But you personally, I know you're more than a wedding planner. I've known that for a long time now. And I know you also have your own project called Sincerely Alana, which focuses on mental health and historical trauma for Pacific Islanders and other people in the San Diego community and beyond as well.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about that and how it affects, not just Pacific Islanders, but other people out there as well?
Yeah, most definitely. Oh my gosh, yes, I love it. Okay.
This is so cute.
So, Sincerely Alana actually started as like a passion project for me from my work as Miss Pacific Islander and also with my studies. So, like a little bit of background.
Wait, back up real quick. You
Yeah.
were Miss Pacific Islander?
we talked
I'm
about
still
this
am,
already.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
She's this year's.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
ladies and
Currently,
gentlemen.
we are around a
We have
celebrity.
Miss Pacific
no.
Islander. Oh
Were you
my-
not listening to us?
I
was. Like,
I guess that
raving.
just one flew by me.
Yeah,
My
I'm
good-
getting all red. I'm
We
with
are-
like.
I'm getting red. I'm like blushing right now. Wait.
We are in the presence of Miss Pacific Islander. I'm sorry.
I'm
Go
kinda
go
jealous.
ahead.
Don't be jealous.
I'm a little
if you want to
jealous, too.
apply, I'm ready. I'm Miss Pacific Islander for like just a couple more months, so I'm getting ready to pass the crown on.
I'll just be your posse.
Yeah, it's fine, you know. But I was involved with the pageant for at least 5 years. I just kept like running and applying. The main reason is it's scholarship money, you know.
Yeah.
So that actually leads me perfectly into my background.
Yeah.
I received my bachelor's degrees in both anthropology and sociology from San Diego State University.
Way different from the event world.
Way different.
Yes.
That's what I was aiming for.
Yes.
And then, you know, like I said earlier, the opportunity came about. And I'm not mad at it. I love it.
Yeah.
But there's still so more that I want to do. There's like, I feel like there's another purpose that I'm supposed to be fulfilling. And so when I started doing the pageants, being involved with the Pacific Islander community, and I also just received my associates in Hawaiian Studies. That's important to know. So when I started Miss PIFA, I call it Miss PIFA,
Okay.
Pacific Islander.
Miss PIFA.
Miss PIFA. When I started going down that path, I realized I have such a unique opportunity, again, to be going to these cultural events. But I grew up in the Polynesian dancing community. And so there were so many things that I knew about my culture just from experience. Yeah. But then when I started learning like anthropology from state, when I did my Hawaiian Studies degree, which was online directly from Oahu, like, yeah, I started to notice that there were disparities in what I was seeing like in my classroom and in the real world, you know?
Yeah.
And so Sincerely Alana is my way of bringing awareness to these issues. I talk about, my favorite thing to talk about is historical trauma. And historical trauma, for those who don't know, it's the intergenerational effects of colonization. So what that looks like in Pacific Islanders, it's loss of land, loss of language, loss of culture. And to me, something that I feel like is not talked about, an effect of that is that there's so many of us that don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to talk to our families, our friends, because we couldn't. Like, we literally couldn't. We lost our language. And so now there's like this learning curve. And it's similar to, I think, a lot of gaps that we see in education with different ethnicities.
Yeah.
So Sincerely Alana, it's targeted towards Pacific Islanders, but it's applicable like across the board to, I think, most ethnic minorities. And not just in San Diego, but like, you know,
everywhere.
potentially around the world.
Yeah.
You know
this
what I
could
mean?
grow.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What are your goals with it, Alana?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have a lot of goals.
Which is good. That's good to have a lot of goals.
What are your top goals with this project with
Yeah.
Sincerely Alana?
My main thing, I want to start my own nonprofit that bridges that gap in education and awareness. Like I said, I think it's important that we bridge it and make sure that people are aware of it. But to see like our people thrive and just succeed and live life and not have to deal with all these like, I don't know, hardships that don't need to happen. It just feels unnecessary to me.
Totally.
So yeah, I want to get more into public education as well and teach more cultural history, education, and everything like that.
That's
so
awesome. That's so cool.
Thank you.
You literally can do it all.
I try.
Brains, beauty, wedding planner. She can dance.
Thank you.
Miss Pacific
She's
Islander.
Miss Pacific
And she's
Islander.
changing the world. She's changing the world, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can raise a glass to you, Alana.
Thank
We
you
have
so
raised so
much.
many glasses, but you have deserved them all.
you.
Cheers.
And I think, you know, as our guest of honor always makes a toast on our show.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of toggle a lot on my toast. I'm sorry. First of all, thank you for having me on
Our pleasure.
Tuesday,
Of course.
February 2022. I think that's so important. And I looked up those angel numbers. It's about equilibrium and balance. So I want to cheers to a year of success, but also finding balance in our lives.
Cheers,
Cheers
to that.
to that.
Cheers to that.
Oh. Again, this rosé is
Oh,
just
I
so
love
good.
It just goes down
So
so
good.
So good. I'm buying this one again.
You know, typically after we make a toast, I like to have our guest tell us a wild story from one of their events, but Coral has been getting a little bit tired of me telling
He
that.
always likes to do this, which is good.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
It's
you know?
entertaining.
What can I say?
Once
but
the alcohol's out.
Right.
this time around, I wanted to discuss something that's brand new,
Oh.
and it could actually affect our industry. I'm talking about the Metaverse.
Ooh.
A lot of people are talking about the Metaverse, all right? It's a virtual reality, and people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for real estate in the Metaverse right now. I'm not making this
That
up.
is crazy.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to think why there wouldn't be weddings in the next 5 to 10 years happening in the metaverse. So I think it's only a matter of time.
What is the metaverse for like people that might not know?
You know, I'm not an expert on it, but
explain.
basically it's basically like the Matrix. It's similar to like The Sims, except instead of you playing with these characters, you are the Sims.
We are the Sims.
You are the Sims. It's your
I loved
avatar.
playing Sims.
You put
Yeah,
on
yeah.
these AR glasses and you step into this virtual reality and you connect with other people. I guess Zuckerberg is building this thing, so
Of course he
you know
is.
he's already
Who else?
Right.
he's already
Probably started
changing
it, I don't
how
know.
we're going to connect with one another. But I think this is going to be a new thing happening within our industry in the next 2 to 3 years. I truly think that people are going to be getting married in this virtual reality. I mean, think about it, right? Let's say, since we were talking about COVID today and how to plan weddings in a safe way, let's say we have another shutdown. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but let's say we do. You as a planner, now you can go and say, well, listen, we can't go anywhere. Your venue's shut down. So how about we do it in this metaverse instead?
I have options for you.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
No.
And you can plan it all yourself. And I guess the cool thing about it is you can literally do it anywhere without ever leaving your house.
Yeah.
So
That's so true.
I'm looking forward to it as a DJ. I'm planning on jumping on this
Can you
bandwagon.
imagine?
He's gonna
like,
be DJing from his house. and
I'm
he'll
not
be
even
very
kidding you.
happy.
I'm going to be DJing in
his
my
house is
sweatpants.
going to
Yeah.
be like a club setting. It's just
Totally.
going to be his whole living room.
Right.
It's gonna be
Totally.
his setup.
We'll just go, you know.
Well, yeah,
we'll dance
be
in
in the
person,
background,
but
yeah.
like you're actually gonna be
With our
working,
metaverse
so.
goggles.
I'm literally going to be DJing in my own living room for people's wedding. It's nuts. And I know that there's some DJs out there that will probably, you know, be against it. And, you know, I don't blame them. You know,
Yeah.
I prefer to DJ for a live audience
Yeah.
any day of the week. But if this is where the world is headed right now, I'm going to jump on this bandwagon. I want to be one of the first DJs in this new realm. And one of the cool things about it is that it's all decentralized, meaning that it's paid in crypto. So it's a new form of currency. I don't know. I don't know where it's headed, but I'm definitely interested in it.
I mean, as long as we still have our jobs, I would
Yeah.
be fine. Like a little side hustle, you know,
Yeah.
like some extra money. But if it's going to take over and I'm never going to plan a wedding again, I'd be very sad.
I truly think that a lot of people are going to be getting married in this thing.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very relevant option for people. But I think like one of the things I appreciate the most about being a wedding planner is being a part of people's special days, and you can feel the love in the air.
Physically
Totally.
being
It's
there.
energy. So there's
Totally.
something.
energy,
I feel like there's a disconnect. You know, like
Yes.
if we're doing it in the metaverse. But again, I'm not hating. Like,
No.
I will be more than happy to make $1 million selling like NFTs for a wedding arch or something. I don't know. I don't know how it works. You know, I'm just like saying what I know. But it's an opportunity. I just keep thinking about like Sims or Club Penguin,
Yes.
Yeah.
and like
Club Penguin.
I just can't imagine replacing that emotional tangibility, that energy. You know?
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely something about weddings. It's very, very intimate. So you need that personal connection. But a lot of times you might not have that opportunity. You know, you might, you know, things happen all the time. And just like 2 years ago, the world was shut down. Nobody expected that to happen, right? So I don't know. I'm intrigued to see where it goes, to be honest.
I am too. I hope we're like ahead of the curve.
Yes.
And we can just like make that money.
That's all I'm
Yes.
saying is stay ahead of the curve.
Yes.
You know, it's new opportunities in this new world we're headed into now. And I think you either get on board or you're going to be left behind.
Exactly.
And
you know?
hopefully we're not left behind.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I think there's going to be jobs for all of us in this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued. I think it's going to be bigger than ever. I mean, where you could have, you know, just done a wedding here in California. Dude, maybe we can do one in, I don't know, Paris or Hawaii,
Yeah.
wherever, without ever having to leave your
That's a
bedroom.
good way to look at it. If you travel and you get to do it, but without the 20-hour flight.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
What do you mean? I don't have to drive 3 hours to get to your venue and I can just DJ in my pajamas right here in my living room? Sign me up.
So we know where he's headed.
Right. No, he's definitely like on train. Like he's on
I'm
board,
on board
with
with
it. Yeah.
this.
He's on board
He's
with that.
going.
Yes.
He's already gone. I don't know.
He's already there.
I'm still
He's
here.
already there.
I'm still here. I haven't left that train yet,
Don't
but
leave
I'm
the
still
podcast,
here.
okay?
Yeah,
I'm still here.
You know.
I just wanted people out there to know that this is it's a new thing. You know, it could be where our industry's headed, and who knows? We'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes.
But Alana, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. You are truly one of my favorite people to work with. And for anybody out there in the San Diego community, planning a wedding or otherwise who wants to reach out to you, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so for weddings, definitely reach out to Reva. Oh, there it is, revaevent.weddings.
Okay.
DM us. We also have revaevent.picnics if you want a luxury picnic. And if you're interested in like anything else that I've been talking about, sincerely Alana, travel, still reach out. You can reach out to me directly for weddings.
Your personal?
My personal is Alana Godoy _.
Awesome.
There you go. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Hit up Alana. She's the best out there in San Diego, and we can't wait to have you back on our show.
Yes.
I'm sure you're going to do some amazing things this year, and we look forward to having you back. Until our next toast, keep it classy, San Diego.
Until our next toast.
All
Cheers,
right.
guys.
Cheers, guys.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. Cheers.